Good morning, everyone. The Nags regular Board of Commissioners meeting for September 3rd, 2025 is hereby called to order. If you will please join me in a few moments of silence. Now, if you'll stand as you're able and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda, and a motion would be in order.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. That brings us to recognitions, and we will first call on Chief Perry Hale.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. It's my pleasure to come before you today to recognize Detective Mike Alvarez for his 10 years of service with the town. Alvarez started his career in law enforcement with the Nags Police Department in July of 2015 as a patrol officer. He spent 5 years on patrol before transitioning to criminal investigations in 2020. Since then, he has proven to be a vital asset to our department, demonstrating a strong commitment to solving crimes and a particular interest in internet-based offenses, including cryptocurrency and the dark web. Alvarez is one of the agency's general instructors, along with specializing in firearms and rapid deployment. His enthusiasm and effectiveness are well known around the department. I often joke that he should at least give suspects some time to believe they have gotten away with the crime before he actually solves the case. In his off time, he enjoys spending time with his 2 golden retrievers, and most importantly, his wife and an 11-month-old little girl. Alvarez, congratulations on your 10 years, and we look forward to 20 more.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Congratulations. He's not joking. We do expect 20 more. All right. Next on our agenda is a proclamation for Septic Smart Week. And Kelly?
Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. This morning I wanted to come to you and give a little intro to Septic Smart Week. The town of Nags Head has long been a leader in protecting water quality and public health through the Todd D. Kraft Septic Health Initiative. Nearly 85% of our homes and many of our businesses depend on septic systems, so we do have this very special program within the town. It provides residents with valuable education, free septic inspections, and a financial incentive such as a $250 water bill credit when you pump your septic system. And should, during the process of that inspection, they find that your septic system needs repairs, we also have a low interest loan that you can apply for. These efforts not only extend the life of septic systems and prevent costly failures, but also safeguard our groundwater, surface waters, and the environment that we all depend on. With this in mind, the week of September 15th through 19th is recognized nationally as Septic Smart Week, a reminder of the importance of maintaining your septic system. So with that, I will hand it over to Mayor Cahoon.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. We are very proud of this program, and it's something that we have been trying to export to our surrounding communities. And I was at the Association of Realtors not too long ago, and there is some interest there in helping us promote this among the other towns finally, which is good. It's something we would very much like to see copied and are not too proud. We would love that. So this proclamation for Septic Smart Week, September 15 through 19, 2025. Whereas proper septic system use and routine care are vital to protecting public health and preserving our highly valued groundwater and surface waters. And whereas proper septic system maintenance will preserve the function, performance, and longevity of systems, thereby avoiding costly repairs that can result from neglect. And whereas nearly 85% of homes and most businesses in the town of Nags Head rely on septic systems to treat wastewater. And whereas the Todd D. Kraft Septic Health Program established by the town of Nags Head provides education to its property owners about the need for proper septic system use and routine maintenance. And whereas the Todd D. Kraft Septic Health Program encourages proper maintenance by offering free inspections of conventional septic systems and a $250 water bill credit each time the system tank is pumped. And whereas, if a conventional system is found in need of repair or replacement, the town offers low-interest loans to assist in replacing all or a portion of the septic system. And whereas residents and the environment of the town of Nags Head benefit from properly designed, installed, operated, and maintained septic systems, now therefore be it resolved that the town of Nags Head Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of September 15 through 19, 2025 as Septic Smart Week in the town of Nags Head, and urges all citizens to join us in the special observance by considering what they can do to properly maintain their septic system, this being the 3rd day of September 2025. Having heard that, a motion to adopt would be in order.
Make a motion, Mayor, to adopt that as presented.
All right, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you, staff, for bringing that forward to us. The next is a proclamation for Diaper Need Awareness Week. This is something that we do annually. I tell you, as a grandfather of 2 children, one of them now happily out of diapers, for those on limited income, this is a problem, and there are resources in our community that we will urge folks to support that will help young families with the need for diapers. Whereas diaper need, the condition of not having a sufficient supply of clean diapers to keep babies and toddlers clean, dry, and healthy can adversely affect the health and well-being of babies, toddlers, and their families. And whereas the latest study from the National Diaper Bank Network reports that 1 in 2 families struggles with diaper need, an increase from previous studies done in 2010 and 17. And whereas purchasing enough diapers to keep a baby or toddler clean, dry, and healthy can consume 14% of a low-wage family's post-tax income, making it difficult to obtain a sufficient supply. And whereas a daily or weekly supply of diapers is generally an eligibility requirement for babies and toddlers to participate in child care programs and quality early education programs. And whereas without enough diapers, babies and toddlers risk infections and health problems that may require medical attention and may prevent parents from attending work or school, thereby hurting the family's economic prospects and well-being. And whereas the Nags Head community recognizes that diaper need is a public health issue and addressing diaper need can lead to economic opportunity for our families and community and improved health for children, thus ensuring all children and families have access to the basic necessities required to thrive and reach their full potential. And whereas the town of Nags Head is proud to be home to trusted community-based organizations, including the Children and Youth Partnership for Dare County, that recognize the importance of diapers in ensuring health and providing economic stability for families, and thus distribute diapers to families through various channels. We, the town of Nags Head, do hereby proclaim the week of September 15 through 21, 2025 as Diaper Need Awareness Week, and we thank the Children and Youth Partnership, their staff and donors for their service through CYP's Diaper Bank and encourage the citizens of our community to support the Diaper Bank to ensure that all Dare County children and families have what they need to thrive, this being the 3rd day of September 2025. Having heard that proclamation, a motion to adopt would be in order.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. That brings us to our 3rd and final proclamation for National Night Out. Chief Hale. Wake up, Chief.
Good morning again, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'd like to thank y'all and the board and the town for the support that they give the police department for our annual National Night Out event. We changed it 7 or 8 years ago from the August date, just to dealing with the heat, humidity, and the storms, where we were usually canceling the event more than we were having it. And then once Dowdy Park opened up, we moved it to Dowdy Park, and it gives us a lot of exposure from people riding by. We've had several families that come each year, and they base their vacation around the event because they bring their grandkids. We will have a bounce house again. I believe we're trying to get a new blow up this year that will be like an obstacle course for the children. We also have the dunk tank again. I appreciate your dedication last year. Invite you again this year, or any other of the board members that would like to participate in the dunk tank. Hopefully it won't be cold, but we look forward to a great time. We realize at the police department here in Nags Head that it takes the community to work with us because we're not everywhere all the time. And to have that bond and relationship with the community, and they come out and see us in a normal setting instead of seeing us when they call us in their time of need, it's a big benefit. We really appreciate the support that comes from the community and excuse me, and the visitors that show up. It's just a great cause to get us out there. We just ordered a bunch more stress balls, little cups, pencils, rubber bands for the kids to wear. So we hope we have a big turnout, and the weather's great, and we have hot dogs and hamburgers again. So we want everybody in the town to come out and join us, and hopefully have a great day and great weather. If we could get some weather like this, we'll put that in order as well.
Yes, sir.
So,
thank you very much.
sir.
It's a great event. We thank y'all for putting it together very much, and it's nice to see the community come out. I was in the dunking tank last year, and I was expecting some citizens to show up, but it was mostly kids who just really enjoyed dunking the mayor. But it's an election year, so maybe we'll get a few more adults to show up to throw the baseball. So we have a proclamation for National Night Out, October 7th, 2025. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program called National Night Out, which is celebrated by communities in August and in early October. And whereas the town of Nags Head, the Nags Head Community Watch Association, and the Nags Head Police Department are celebrating National Night Out on Tuesday, October 7th, 2025. And whereas the annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the town of Nags Head to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And whereas the Nags Head Community Watch Association plays a vital role in assisting the Nags Head Police Department through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts in the town of Nags Head, and is supporting National Night Out 2025 locally. And whereas it is essential that all citizens of the town of Nags Head be aware of the importance of crime programs and the impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drug, and violence in the town of Nags Head. And whereas police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program, therefore I do hereby call upon all citizens of the town of Nags Head to join the Nags Head Community Watch Association, the Town of Nags Head Police Department, and the National Association of Town Watch in supporting the 42nd Annual National Night Out on October 7th, 2025. Further, let it be resolved that I, Ben Cahoon, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 as National Night Out in the town of Nags Head, Dare County, North Carolina. Adopted this the 3rd day of September 2025. Having heard the proclamation, a motion to adopt would be in order.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you again, everyone. That brings us next to public comment, and I will turn it over to Mr. Leidy. Good morning, Mr. Leidy.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. The Board of Commissioners at each regular meeting invites members of the public to provide public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on matters of concern or interest to them and to share that with the board. It's not an opportunity for dialogue, and the board rarely responds to public comment. Also, there is a public hearing on the agenda for today, and if you're here to speak at the public hearing, you can reserve your comments until the public hearing is called. But for anyone else, if you would like to provide public comment, this is your opportunity. Please start by going to the podium and telling us who you are and where you live, and then address your remarks to the board, and I'll let you know when your 5 minutes is just about up.
Good morning. I'm Mary Kelly. I live
and West Oscolody and Nags Head. I've had the privilege and the honor to serve as a Town of Nags Head volunteer for the last 3 years. The majority of my time has been at the Farmers Market, Dowdy Park. I'm here today to commend one of your employees, Paige Griffin. You speak often of the many events held at Dowdy Park, the success of these events, and the enjoyment that so many benefit from attending them. It is truly because of the hard work of Paige. I'm impressed with her organizational skills, communication skills, professionalism, and thoroughness at all that she does. I see the respect the vendors have for her, and they value her efforts. One described her as priceless. I've been an HR administrator for over 30 years, and I feel I can identify exceptional employees, and Paige is definitely one. Thank you for giving me these few minutes to highlight one of your exceptional employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Howdy, good morning. I'm Hillary McCovens. I live in Nags Head Pond, and I am here to talk about something that I saw in the survey. What was it, about like 2 years ago or so? Y'all would know better than me. But anyhow, there was a question about concrete medians, and I didn't think much of it at the time. I was like, yeah, I grew up with these. I'm from the literal and figurative jungles of Southeast Florida where there is no operating without a concrete median. And I was just got to thinking about it over the time since the survey went out, and I really think the town would benefit from these concrete medians, specifically from 8th Street light to about where the Villa Dunes neighborhood starts, ending, and then picking back up again at the hospital light, heading south to probably about here, you know, getting past the fire department. I have seen concrete medians in other areas where like they don't have like a turn lane in the middle. It's just like one big solid like oval or like blocking off the whole thing. And I feel like we could definitely fit in those little like left-hand turn lanes into them. And then there's the question of like landscape or not landscape. And I feel like if there was data that supported that landscaping, at least like the wider parts of the concrete median, if there's data that supported reducing runoff, cool. If not, then I feel like that would save a lot of money in maintenance and probably maintenance. And reasons why I feel pretty strongly about this is that it would decrease driving down the center lane. It would, you know, I didn't actually know about this until recently, but evidently it's like against the law to even sit in the center lane, like to wait to turn, you know, into the opposite opposing lane. I had no idea until recently, so I'm really glad I know that now. But now that I know that, I feel like this would help people from sitting in the center lane trying to get over into the opposite side of traffic they're trying to go down. And then also, I feel like my biggest thing for this is pedestrian safety, because there are those areas where there is no crosswalk. We can't put a light in a crosswalk everywhere. So at least like these medians would give somebody a safe place to pause before they were to go straight across the rest of the bypass, or you know, go all the way across. So that's my reason for it, and I feel like it can be done. And I feel like Nags Head is such a leader in so many aspects of, I don't know, I feel like Nags Head could be certainly a leader in public safety initiatives by doing this, just basic common sense public safety. And gosh, I feel like and sure, they might be like a little annoying in the off season, but I feel like after a few years you get used to them and they may feel less cumbersome. But shoot, our population here in the summer is just like Southeast Florida, which is why I think I thrive in the summer. The heat, the humidity, the crazy, I think it would really help with all that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who wishes to comment for the board? All right, if not, at this time we will conclude the public comment session.
Very good. Thank you very much. That brings us to our consent agenda, which you have before you with 7 items, and a motion would be in order.
So moved.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Thank you. That brings us to a public hearing, our only public hearing today, and we'll turn this over to John Leidy and Kelly Wyatt.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, we will begin the public hearing to consider a text amendment request submitted by TW's Outdoor Outfitters LLC to amend Section 10.86.2.4.2 of the Unified Development Ordinance to reduce the required building separation from 20 feet to 10 feet for buildings that are serving as accessory to the principal commercial use on the site. We'll begin with the presentation of the staff's analysis by Kelly Wyatt, the Planning and Development Director.
Thank you so much. As stated, this is a text amendment submitted by TW's Outdoor Outfitters to reduce the required building separation between multiple commercial buildings from 20 feet down to 10 feet when the building serves as an accessory to the principal. Some key background information that was included in your packet that I would like to highlight is that this standard has been in place in some form since the late 1970s and was carried forward into our UDO and commercial design standards in more recent years. I have up on the screen this information where we can see in 1977 we did not have the 3-to-1 length to width ratio, but we did permit group developments via the conditional use process and required that there be a 20-foot building separation. And then we had different iterations of this in 83, 87, all the way up until we adopted the UDO in 2019. The intent of the 20-foot separation is to prevent the appearance of large strip-style buildings and to preserve smaller scale distinct structures that define Nags Head's character. This is actually written out as part of section 10.86.2.4 in an effort to prevent the appearance of large, disproportionate, and/or strip-style buildings. Also of note, the applicant, who unfortunately isn't here today, while they may have a specific project in mind, text amendments are not site-specific. So this text amendment in particular would apply to all commercial properties within the town. So any change here would affect any commercial development moving forward, other than that in the C3 Commercial Services District, because that district is exempt. The 20-foot separation maintains our architectural style, creates visual breaks along commercial corridors, and prevents large and uninterrupted facades. It allows for landscaping, natural light, and airflow between buildings. It provides safety and access benefits for fire and emergency personnel. Reducing this to 10 feet would undermine the objectives and could set a precedent that's inconsistent with our design standards. I did provide some examples of developments within the town, the approximate year that they were constructed, and their status in terms of compliance. So I'll pull that up on the screen. Outlets Nags Head, Outer Banks Mall, Croatan Center, Surfside Plaza, Pirates Key, South Beach Plaza are all good indicators of where we have applied a type of separation, South Beach Plaza being the most recent. The Planning Board unanimously recommended denial of this request at its meeting in July. Staff also recommends denial as we believe this amendment is inconsistent with the town's comprehensive land use plan and its longstanding development goals. Pull the ordinance up so you can see what that would look like in terms of it being amending the ordinance, but I am happy to answer any questions that you may have, and again, the applicant is unavailable today.
All right, does the board have any questions for Ms. Wyatt?
I have a question. If this if we were to approve this, we wouldn't, because of that downzoning bill, we wouldn't be able to, this townwide text amendment, we wouldn't be able to undo it.
Correct.
Okay.
This would be sort of loosening the requirement, so it would be hard to go tighten it back down in the future.
Okay. Thank you.
Kelly, I got a question.
Yes.
You mentioned accessory dwelling or accessory use to a primary use, but then every example you gave was actually an extenuation to fit the 3-in-1. So if it's an accessory to a primary use, are we grading this or judging this based on a different ordinance when you say 3-to-1 usage? I mean, I don't know what this gentleman's plans are, but as you defined accessory structure to the primary structure, is that even what we're talking about when we are talking about a 20-foot setback to a 3-in-1 like Croatan Center over here that you referenced?
Yeah, so as I interpret it to mean all buildings, yes, not a discrepancy between principal and accessory. Accessory buildings, when they're on commercial developments, they do have some different requirements that they have to meet. However, the 3-to-1 appears to apply to all structures, and it certainly applies to all structures as part of the commercial design standards.
But are we talking about accessory structure to the primary use? I asked that question, and I don't want to mention any of these restaurants, but there are multiple accessory structures for storage that are less than 20 feet and that have been added in the time frame that you're speaking of as accessory structures to the primary use. So are we talking accessory structure to the primary use, or are we talking 3-in-1 with the 20-foot setback in this text amendment? I mean, what, and only because you started out the conversation is this is an accessory use on 20 foot away from it.
So, yeah, so that was the applicant's request, is that it be reduced from 20 to 10 when we're talking about a principal and an accessory. The 3-to-1 requirement, and again, it's hard to do this without getting site-specific, but I believe the applicant's original intention was to have a long linear building that ran afoul of the 3-to-1. And so in looking at our ordinance, it states properties with multiple buildings, and it doesn't state whether it's a principal building or an accessory building, shall have each building separated by at least 20 feet and shall not have the appearance of being one structure. So this is under the requirements for 3-to-1, for strip style. For example, multiple buildings may appear to be one structure where there is a continuous roof line over the main structure that carries the two buildings. It goes on to say that buildings can be connected with exterior pedestrian walkways. I'm not sure if I'm understanding and answering your question properly, but we're looking at the 3-to-1 requirement, which was initially what the applicant was having issues meeting. And under this criteria, as you can see on the screen, 10.86.2.4.2, it just states that when you've got multiple buildings where you're butting up on that 3-to-1, there has to be this 20-foot separation between the buildings.
Between the buildings, but an accessory structure as a secondary use to the primary structure on a commercial property, does that actually say 20 feet separation between that?
So I'm looking at the language.
And I understand where you're coming from because you see more than we see. You see what he originally intended to do, at which time, however, he ended up trying to put in a text amendment to shorten this distance. He had to be told that he had to have less distance, or he had to come up with a way that maybe it's not an accessory structure. But looking at the GIS, like I was stating, I can show you multiple restaurants that within the last 4 years have had accessory structures closer than 10 feet. So if it's an accessory structure to the primary dwelling, is that what we're talking about? Or are we talking 3-in-1 for a longer, something we're not looking at?
Yeah, so.
And I'm just trying to get clarification for
Sure.
myself.
In 1977, the ordinance was specific to group developments. So restaurants weren't contemplated. So I imagine there could have been restaurants developed at that time frame where the 20-foot separation wasn't a requirement. In 1983, language limiting the length of the principal residential and commercial structures to 3 times their width. So 83 seems to be when this 3-to-1 came into play. 1987 through 88 is when we saw language introduced that kept the 3-to-1, but the 20-foot separation was specific to group developments and shopping centers. So again, I would think that a structure developed during that time that wasn't a group development or a shopping center, the 20-foot may not have been triggered. And then, obviously, with the commercial design standards in 2019, it became clarified where the 20-foot did apply. It applied to all structures, which is what we have listed. Properties with multiple buildings, and it doesn't speak to the type of use. And I'm sorry if I'm not answering your question.
No, you're answering the question. There's just some gray area in it, and that's just,
Understood.
There's one section of our code in the beginning of our commercial design standards. And I think this was added in 2019, like you were saying, that the commercial design standard shall apply to any accessory building greater than 500 square feet.
Yes.
And previously, I don't think that was a requirement of the code. So it was changed to apply those standards to anything.
The commercial design standards.
So I
correct.
think that it would be hard, if someone proposed a building greater than 500 square feet, it would be hard to argue that, you know, the standard wouldn't apply, and therefore this change wasn't necessary to apply to anything bigger than that. So-
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
no,
Other-
good. I mean, like she said, the applicant wasn't present at the planning board meeting either. They did the best they could with the information they had at hand.
Right,
So-
okay.
Any other questions for Kelly?
You spoke a little bit about the fire and public safety. As part of the UDO, they changed to 20 feet because of fire and public safety, do you feel, or?
So the UDO doesn't contemplate anything within the fire code or the building code. That would be separate. So I tried to keep my analysis specific to the zoning requirements, but I did note that any type of development of this nature would certainly have to go through building and fire. And it would have to meet those standards as well. But I tried to keep my analysis specific to the zoning requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Kelly, in a circumstance, you know, just sticking to the accessory building question, as it's referenced, if there were a 2-building development, and how would an applicant describe and how would staff assess whether in fact the second building was accessory as opposed to just a second primary?
So I can try to pull it up for you. We do have a definition of accessory use, and it has some specific criteria about that use is subordinate in size and purpose to the principal.
Right,
It's for the comfort and convenience of the principal as well.
okay,
So we would need to make sure that whatever that accessory structure, the use that's occurring inside of it, is clearly
okay.
incidental and subordinate to and for the convenience of the principal.
Are the setbacks for accessory structures different from those for primary structures?
For commercial,
Mhm.
I don't believe so. For
Yeah.
residential it is, but for commercial, we don't contemplate a difference between the
Okay.
two.
So in the zone where this is proposed, C2, we have the not less than 5 nor more, a total of 15, not less than 5 on a side, on one side,
Correct,
correct?
yes. Yep.
So theoretically, you could have two developers, unrelated. They could both choose the same 5-foot side, and you could end up with two primary buildings and/or two secondary buildings 10 feet apart.
Perhaps, I mean, that's a,
No, I mean, it's
I'm
a
trying to
theoretical,
process
but
it all
yes,
while
I'm
I'm
pretty
standing
sure
up
that
here.
that would be the
I
case,
trust you,
that
yes.
we would have two 5-foot setbacks, and we could end up with structures 10 feet apart.
yeah, I mean, one could be 5, the other would obviously have to be larger, the other setback would have to be 10
Correct.
to meet that 15. So
Correct. And then on the next property, they could put their 10, they could be mirrored, essentially. You could have
Correct.
the 10s on the outside and the 5s abutting
yes,
for the setbacks, and so those structures would then be 10 feet apart.
yes.
Okay. That's all.
But
Thank
you
you.
see that a lot with the cottage court developments up against other commercial,
Yeah.
especially in South Nags Head where they're
Right.
right on top of each other.
Right.
Because we get
Well,
that
those-
complaint about how come they're so tight.
Yeah, but those are older too, aren't they? Are they not? No,
You got two new developments
That's
that
true,
are
that's true,
tight
that's right.
with other commercial and residential properties.
Okay.
All right, any other questions for Ms. Wyatt? All right, anything else, Kelly?
No, sir?
All right, thank you, ma'am. And of course, the applicant's not here. Would any member of the public like to comment on this proposed text amendment? Or anything from planning board members? All right, if not, does the board wish to receive any other information about this proposed text amendment before you begin your deliberations? All right, if not, we will conclude the public hearing at this time, and the board may begin its deliberations on the proposed text amendment.
All right. Comments or a motion, either one would be in order. I will say for myself, you know, I am not fundamentally opposed to a 10-foot separation in certain circumstances. I mean, I understand the concept of not giving the appearance of lengthening a building with only a 10-foot separation between them. But if it's a T-shaped configuration and the secondary building is behind it, you know, visually it's not doing the same thing as the 10-foot separation between two long buildings. But I don't think that this is fully considered. The fire code, I know more about the fire code than, you know, other board members, certainly by virtue of my profession. The fire code deals with building separation more than adequately. I appreciate that Kelly actually approached this from an aesthetic standpoint, because I really think the fire code deals with building separations very thoroughly. But I will accept that I'm not sure that this has been as thoroughly considered perhaps as it could be. And that's all. Thank you. Anyone else?
I'll say, I agree with what you're saying. In this particular case, I don't think the text amendment might be the right approach. I think it might be planning board go look at it overall to see really what the factors are, because there are some structures that are accessory dwelling use, or not dwelling, accessory use in commercial applications that are smaller than, but they're defined. I mean, you can easily tell. And I just think there's some confusion here. And with the applicant not here to state his case or their case, then I think that, you know, we vote with the staff and planning board.
Right. Okay. All right, very good. And in which case, I'll consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny this text amendment.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further consideration or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Leidy. Thank you, Kelly. Appreciate that. That brings us to reports and recommendations. I wondered why Kelly was still standing. You're coming right back. Thank you.
I didn't want to go too far. Thank you. typically say that I won't take too long, but we actually have quite a bit to discuss today, so I apologize in advance. The planning board, we'll start there. At their August meeting, the board unanimously recommended adoption of text amendments to comply with new state law, reducing parking stall width from 10 feet down to 9 feet. That's on your consent agenda today, and you'll have the public hearing for that in October. There was quite a bit of discussion related to the commercial outdoor recreation overlay district. The planning board continued that conversation, and our deputy planning director, Joe Costello, presented an animation showing opportunities identified in a recent report that Mr. Costello also completed about existing conditions within the district. These included a potential boardwalk connection from the Soundside event site to Outlets Nags Head, opportunities for public art installations, enhanced Soundside access, shade trees and wayfinding signage along the path to create a sense of place, and a mix of recreation and commercial principal uses. The next step is to invite the tourism board and the property owners within the commercial outdoor recreation overlay district to the planning board's September meeting. I believe that's September 16th. We have confirmed that either Diane Bodnich or Lee Nettles from the Tourism Bureau will be attending the planning board's September meeting to provide an update on the status of their Soundside boardwalk. Staff also has sent a letter out inviting all the property owners within the CORD to the planning board's September meeting, and we hope to facilitate some open dialogue on strategies to strengthen that district or that overlay district. Things like supporting existing businesses, allowing more flexibility with principal uses, preserving sound views and access, and improving pedestrian and bicycle connectivity, and again, exploring potential boardwalk idea. So in addition to that, at the planning board's September meeting, they are also going to review text amendments related to crowd gathering permits, specifically events at the designated public event site, and a rezoning request on Satterfield Landing for the lot located immediately behind TW's Bait and Tackle. For our Board of Adjustment, they did meet on August 14th, and the BOA granted variances for the Sim property, which is at 8725 South Old Oregon Inlet Road. That variance allowed the demolition of a non-conforming home and construction of a new home. With regard to the Septic Health Advisory Committee, they will be meeting again in October. And in preparation for administering the no-interest septic loan program that we have through DWI, staff is preparing the scope for that project to be sent to DWI in anticipation that they will go ahead, review that, and approve that. We also need to have a contractor workshop in mid-September to go over compliance with Davis-Bacon rates and the American iron and steel provisions. I did want to note that we are welcoming an intern from UNC Chapel Hill, Isabel Pala, through the Outer Banks Field Site Program. Today was her first day, which is actually why Connor was unable to be here when we did our Septic Smart Week. He's with her, kicking her time off with taking her out to some septic inspections and showing her how the program works.
Good for her.
Yeah, we're excited. So she will be supporting the septic health, inventorying septic tanks with the mapping effort.
Nice.
And we now have the water quality loggers, which we're integrating into our conversation. So she'll be helping with all of that. And as you know, the DWMP has had a constant focus on increasing engagement and increasing our numbers for pump out. So we hope to get her fresh mind with some fresh ideas on how we're going to do that. So we're excited to have her, and I'll try to get her here in October or November
Cool.
for y'all to meet her. The Estuarine Shoreline Management Plan, I'm not gonna go into that much at all. Joe Costello will be providing an update on that here shortly. For the CAMA Access Grant, we did get some great news. We were awarded $400,000 through the North Carolina Public Beach and Coastal Waterfront Access Grant for improvements to the Hargrove Street Public Beach access. And Dowdy Park, I appreciate so much Mary Kelly earlier, her comments on page. I would echo those completely. She's done an amazing job. The Art and Culture Committee continues to discuss how we're going to honor Carrie Oak-Smith Sanders. It's a hard conversation, but also a really wonderful conversation. And so we have some wonderful ideas, and we'll continue that. We'll hopefully have something before you soon. The 2025 farmers market season has wrapped up. The final market had to be rescheduled because of Hurricane Aaron. But we still had a strong turnout, and most of the vendors really appreciated that we were able to pivot that quickly so that they could get that last market in. Summer concert series continues tonight. We have Manny O'Murphy, Peer Pressure on the 10th, and Shelley Gates and the Keepers on the 18th. The 18th is a Thursday. We've all become accustomed to concerts on Wednesdays, but this one's going to be on a Thursday. So we'll make sure that everybody is aware of that. We are starting up with movies in the park. We have one this Friday. We're showing Toy Story, and that's what was selected for the community poll. We'll be doing Hocus Pocus in October, which is going to be tied to the Nags Head Elementary School Pumpkin Fair, and then another movie in November, which we'll put out for a poll as well. Fitness Fridays have wrapped up, but Tuesday yoga continues, and people still love and enjoy that. And Paige is now working on holiday events. She's getting the calendar together and trying to get some fresh ideas for our tree lighting ceremony, which is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And finally, the Art Mast project, that's still active. We have 2 new panels being painted right now. And then our 4 original panels that we have out are getting some wear and tear. So we have in our budget time to replace those. So hopefully next season, we'll have the old ones replaced and 2 brand new ones.
Very good.
So happy to answer any questions that you have about this.
I don't have any right now, thank you.
Any questions?
I do. I was going back to your planning board update, and the September meeting, seeing that you have the Visitors Bureau coming and property owners. I myself want to attend that meeting too, and I was going to encourage the other board members to attend as well. I think it'd be a good opportunity to talk about the boardwalk. I'm really excited about the possibility of that project. And I think it'd be a great opportunity to kind of get that ball rolling and start talking to other people and seeing how other residents feel about that project as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds wonderful. If the board's interested, Joe Costello can run through some details thus far with where we're at, but if not, I totally understand. I'll leave that up to the board.
I'm very interested.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Sure.
The board had been discussing for years the concept of a boardwalk. There was a committee probably 10 years ago or more that talked about a boardwalk along the Sound. I think the more recent discussions were, let's wait and see what the Outer Banks Visitors Bureau does with their property before the town considers the project again. And now we know that they're proceeding with their project. I believe the County Board of Commissioners is approving that today, the funding for it.
correct.
And I know Mayor Pro Tem Sears is aware of all of that. They're essentially moving forward with all of the elements that they showed on their plans. Is that correct?
They were fortunate to come in about 500,000 under budget for what they had projected. That project is just under $5 million, and it will be completed by spring if approved by the board today.
And so I think the board at one point said, it might have been during a capital improvement workshop, if and when the Visitors Bureau proceeds with a boardwalk, maybe we would pick back up those discussions. Now that's happening, and also in light of the planning board's discussion regarding this commercial outdoor recreation overlay district, maybe it is time we start looking at the possibilities there And so I think this all is good timing.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Great. Well, we'll look forward to that. To sign off on Kelly's report, I do want to say, yes, Paige does a wonderful job, but what Paige has done and what I enjoy so much is that she's really built a community of vendors there. I thoroughly enjoy walking through at setup time, which I try to do, and to go back and visit with those vendors. They support one another. They support Paige. Paige supports them, and I think it really makes the market. It's a little more than a market. You know, it's really a community gathering every Thursday, and it's just really pretty awesome. So we're very proud of it.
I feel the same way about the Wednesday night concert series, and I know I've seen you at a few of those as well, and it is like a community gathering, and it's really grown over the years. I mean, I can't even imagine how many people are out there now. It's got to be hundreds.
Yeah.
I don't know if you... 300, yeah. So it's really taken off and really done extremely well, and people are really enjoying it. The kids are playing on the playground, and the parents are listening to the music. It's great.
Yeah, it is.
Really
It's
is.
awesome.
I agree with you.
It's really very much the heart of the community. It's wonderful. All right, Joe.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Just going to give a brief overview of what we've been talking about at the planning board. I thought I'd start off just sort of showing you the commercial outdoor recreation overlay district. Basically runs from Forest Street to sort of end of town here, Fishing Unlimited. And you can see it's kind of a perfect mirror that all of that is zone C2. If I go to our table of uses, the overlay district allows a lot of unique uses in this area that aren't allowed anywhere else in town, such as the adventure park, go-karts, mini golf. But again, if you go back to that map, the underlying zoning is C2. So any of the properties there can and could develop according to any allowed C2 use. Large residential dwelling units are one of those. There's a whole host of other ones. So we started looking at this district and thinking about sort of how fragile it is in a way that one or two uses could change and really impact the cohesiveness of the district as it is. With SB 382, we have limited ability to remove any uses, but we started looking more and more at uses that maybe could be added. When I go to, I'm going to pull up this report. This is this report that staff put together in March, and we basically did an existing conditions analysis. We looked at what the comprehensive plan says we want the district to be. We looked at previous planning efforts in the area, which included the beach road design. We looked at the build out of the pedestrian network, both what's existing and then what's in our pedestrian plan and what that sort of looks like. I'll go to the comprehensive plan portion just to sort of read one little section. The character areas provide both the vision and policy and direction of the desired use, design, and infrastructure. And this overlay district overlaps almost directly with this Soundside activity node. And one of the parts of that says, this area is envisioned to be a destination where people can park their car and enjoy exploring the surrounding area by foot or bike. This area is imagined as primarily commercial with a mix of retail and restaurant with a high degree of walkability. They've identified this character area as a model for the future development of the Whalebone core activity node. It's envisioned to develop as a high-quality mixed-use area and prime location for recreational uses and hotel development. Further, the area is highly desirable for additional dining opportunities and local boutique-style shopping that is designed as a planned, highly walkable destination-type development. It goes on to say it also supports mixed-use development. And so this existing conditions plan basically looked at what's been planned, as I already mentioned. We sort of looked at key destinations throughout, tried to sort of document the existing land uses and character. What do we have? How much vacant property is available? What kind of structure sizes do we see there? There's not much vacant land in the area. And as we went through, we eventually sort of came to these recommendations from a zoning perspective. What can we do to add, potentially to align with the comprehensive plan? One of those things might be to allow group developments and allow outdoor recreation uses as a part of a group development as a other principal use. And further, we kind of look at these character areas. This is sort of like a build out, let me zoom in again, of the pedestrian network. You can see yellow is what we have, orange is what is planned, which I've included sort of that, the Soundside Event Center's boardwalk. And green is just sort of a theoretical idea of, you know, maybe some additional connection to really achieve what we've said we want to see there in the comprehensive plan. And then we talk about some other items in this report, such as public art, placemaking things like street trees. So now I'll show you this little animation I did, which basically, I guess to caveat this, this doesn't meet zoning, architectural guidelines, it doesn't meet fire or building code. This is just sort of to present this idea of interconnectivity. I use the GIS shape files we have and then the site plans for the outlet mall and the Soundside Event Center that were recently submitted to sort of build this. So let me just kind of walk you through. I also sort of took full license to show the outlet mall as a two-story building with pedestrian activity sort of on the rear there, and a reoriented outlet mall that takes advantage of that sound view shed. And again, I'm just sort of trying to highlight this idea of interconnectivity between the outlet mall and the rest of the district. I've sort of gauged some property owner interest. Everyone that I've talked to has been supportive, but obviously we're going to have this more open stakeholder discussion, and we'll see what people have to say.
And Joe, the adventure park already has, when they opened, they put a boardwalk in on their property as well, did they?
Yeah, yes they did. And you know, I zoomed in. I'm just showing some potential uses in the comprehensive plan. It's very specific about the uses we want to see. Some of them are museum, etc. And this is sort of just a build out of what was planned and sort of shown and what we approved in the site plan with these pickleball courts and you know what this all could look like. So again, that's sort of trying to highlight the recreation uses, public art, street trees. Again, just to sort of give a visual to sort of this idea that we've sort of been looking at as we look at the comprehensive plan and we look at what's there. And so hopefully that will be a helpful tool to sort of just aid and let people sort of look at something and talk about something. And so, as Kelly mentioned, we sent this letter out to everybody in the district, inviting them. About half of the property owners are residential property owners in the villas at Sugar Creek. We sort of invited them anyway and said, you know, this is mostly about contiguous commercial development, but we're happy to have you and get your input as well. As Megan mentioned, I think it'd be great to have board members come and hear what people have to say and participate. And so that's really where we're at.
Okay.
Happy
Thank
to
you.
answer any questions.
Thank you, Joe. Not so much questions as well, I do have a question, but observations. I've always hoped that we would get to a point where we could take this area and I wouldn't want to make it unwieldy, and it could quickly get unwieldy, and maybe we need to tackle it in pieces, but where the entire Whalebone area, oceanfront, Jeanette's Pier, the event site, the shopping center, all of that was tied together as this sort of rich pedestrian environment with restaurants and entertainment and extremely walkable, I think would be, would really be a nice thing. for us to eventually see. And so I appreciate the effort to kind of go a little bit beyond just talking about a boardwalk and think about how we actually achieve some interconnectivity in that area. I wonder, I have connections at NC State at the School of Design. I'm not aware that they have studios that are specific to this, but a few years ago we had a sustainability studio, and the professor brought their students here, and they did a number of sustainability projects throughout the town. That was kind of interesting to see. They were theoretical, and student work is rarely practical, but it does raise some ideas. It does bring fresh ideas to the table that would be things that we would not think of otherwise. They have studios for sustainability. They have studios for main streets. It would be interesting to have that kind of discussion, that kind of community discussion among all the sort of property owners in that area. And then maybe some visuals that would sort of maybe resonate with that community. And so if there's an interest there, I would like to see us approach, and I would help approach NC State and see if somebody there would be interested in doing that.
I'm certainly open to that. I think,
Okay.
like you said, I think universities have students that can, sort of are immersed in what they're studying and can really provide some outside of the box or just, just a different perspective that really can move things forward.
Yeah.
I like that idea, that's great.
No, I agree with you. I think it looks really good. I think that's a great idea, and I see your vision, and the animation really helps to visualize everything, so thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. And I believe you're up next for what you were here to
That's
report.
right. So just an update on this estuary and shoreline management plan. We had a stakeholder meeting earlier this month. It was really well attended, which I'm happy about. We got the word out, and it was really looking at these sites 1 and 2, the Villa Dunes Drive, Nags Head Woods Preserve area, and then the West Soundside Road area. Attached to your staff report was a summary document that sort of let you all know who was there and tried to put all of the comments and responses we heard. A lot of concerns about navigation, the aesthetic of these sort of large living breakwater structures, and then also other comments like, are we restoring marsh in the Soundside Road area when a lot of residents who have been there a really long time said, we've never had that, it's always been sandy, and just had a good discussion, had a good public meeting. We've taken all of those comments, and we're working with the consultants to come up with a design that incorporates everything we've heard. I think with the Soundside Road section, quite honestly, these southern 3 islands, I think we heard enough no's that it wouldn't be able to move forward as it's depicted here, given that we would need easements from private property owners to actually construct these. But we are still looking at this berm and the Nags Head Woods Preserve site and trying to sort of tweak and modify the designs to still be able to be permitted and still achieve what they're designed to achieve and meet the needs and concerns of local residents. With the Harvey site, we had a kickoff meeting, I think just last week. Right now they're in the data collecting and design phase. A lot of the data had already been collected from this effort when we already looked at and collected the SAV as a part of this effort. So that project's gonna move a lot quicker. And so we are expecting schematic designs, I think sometime next month, or at least a concept design. And so with the Harvey site, we had $500,000, I believe, through North Carolina Land and Wildlife Fund, and then Amy applied and got the RCCP grant to sort of complete that project from design all the way through construction. With these 2 sites that we're looking at, we haven't funded through construction. We have 60% design funded and hopefully assistance through permitting. We've applied for a grant to get us to 100% construction. We don't know whether we've gotten that or not.
Great. Very good. Any questions for Jeff?
Just one thing to note too, with we refer to the Harvey Site project as the Harvey Site. The majority of this living shoreline will be on the Outer Banks event site. And so we just need to make sure people know that. The second piece to this is, since it's on the event site and the majority of that property is owned by the tourism board, and eventually will all be owned by the tourism board, we need to coordinate closely with them on this design, because essentially they will inherit this design. And so we have scheduled the consultant to come to the tourism board's meeting in September and kind of go over some of the concepts and get a little bit of feedback from them before we get too heavy into the design. There's also going to be a small working group of people to talk about some of the uses out there, like kite surfing and sailing, just to make sure that whatever we design doesn't disrupt any of the activities. So just to be aware of all that. That's all going to be happening, I think, September 18th, is that?
Yeah, I believe so. That's right. Thanks, Amy.
So.
All right, very good. Yeah, I think it's also important that those users are involved, because we've had concerns there in the past about people's access and ability to use that space. So, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Then that would bring us to your next item, item 3.
Yeah, this is sort of a carryover from the presentation you received about the hazard mitigation grant program 3 or 4 months ago. We did file our paperwork and got approval for the state-centric model, so the state would be handling all of the procurement and aspects of this grant if we move forward. We had one property owner as 2 oceanfront properties who submitted 2 applications. The town would be serving as the sub-applicant. The county will take if we sign off and move forward with submitting his grant applications with our letter of interest, the county will send it to the state. The state will then forward it to FEMA. FEMA will make an offer that will then go back to the state if it's funded through this grant. And then the property owner will have a decision to make on whether or not they accept the offer for demolition. And then the town would acquire the property underneath it, and it would be deed restricted to be public open space. The 2 properties that we've received submissions for are both sort of east of the static line, down in South Nags Head, and so I think from the town, I think it makes sense to, grant the property owner's wishes and forward these along, and, I think he's sort of just open to seeing what the offer is, and, if it meets what he's expecting, he will move forward, but if not, it's up to him. But our role would just be to get you all to allow Andy to be the primary agent and me to be the secondary agent to sort of continue this his application along.
Very good. Any questions for Jeff? All right. In that case, a motion would be in order.
So moved.
Second?
All right. I have a motion and a second to authorize Town Manager Garman as the designated agent and Deputy Planning Director Costello as the town's secondary agent for the hazard mitigation grants. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great. All right. Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Joe. That brings us to new business, and we do have a time-specific groundbreaking. I'm not sure if everybody's here yet, so I think we'll continue down our agenda, and we'll come back to that in just a few minutes. And so that would bring us to committee reports, and I think I'll start on the other end. Commissioner Lambert.
We did meet for our Government Education Access Channel meeting just a couple weeks ago. We actually met in KDH at their town hall, and we approved 2 LPDI grants, and we also got to meet the new part-time position, Brenda, which was really exciting. She hasn't officially started at the time of our meeting, but she was nice enough to come and attend so that we could all meet her and she can hit the ground running. And that's it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Mr.
All right,
Simmons.
Tourism Board, we've talked about what's going on with that. And then Andy's going to talk about the housing task force.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Sanders?
Well, we just got a big update on the Estuarine Shoreline Management Plan, so I think we're good there.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Joe.
I think the thing that probably in the last several months has consumed me the most has been the legislative activity and the correspondence, and Andy's going to report on that. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, so I will leave that there. That brings us then to any items from the town attorney. Mr. Leidy?
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing to present today.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, then that brings us to the town manager. And Andy, you're going to start with the update on the legislative efforts.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. So, you know, as the board is aware, we have been working with a legislative liaison, Warden Smith, Whitney Campbell Christensen, to advocate for the town's interests at the state. We submitted to them in the spring legislative priority list of policy items and also appropriations requests. We have, as everybody knows, been out to Raleigh several times with the mayor and Commissioner Lambert to talk to our legislative delegation, Senator Hannig and Representative Kidwell. Those meetings were all very good. As well, we were working with the other towns in the spring to advocate for certain policy issues, primarily sort of opposing some things that would affect our authority, like H765. So I want to give a brief update on what's happened since then. And I had a call with Whitney just a few days ago. And, you know, there's a primary message here, and that is that it's not been a very productive year in the legislature. And it's because there's a disagreement that's sort of overriding everything going on, and that is related to tax policy. And so, as the board knows, they're working on a budget, but before they can do that, they have to agree on how they're going to handle taxes. There were tax cuts that were supposed to take effect, I believe, in a couple of years, and there's some disagreement on that. I think there's one delegation that says we shouldn't enact those tax cuts because we know we're going to be in a deficit if we do that in a couple of years. We've had a lot of additional things happen in the state. Hurricane Helene has affected our expenditures as well as other things, Medicaid. There's some other things coming down from the federal government that could create a huge burden for the state. So I think some folks, especially in the House, think that we should not enact those tax cuts, that they're really sort of immaterial when it comes to how much they would reduce individual tax burdens. So really, at this point, until they can resolve that, there's not going to be a budget. They adjourned at the end of June. They did an adjournment resolution. They said that they were going to meet once a month for a few days at a time for the rest of the calendar year. They were supposed to meet in August. I was told that because they don't really want to be in the same room with each other, they canceled that meeting. And so they're supposed to meet again in September, on September 22nd, and to take up, I think, additional budget discussions. We've also been told that the policy items they're going to consider for the rest of the year are probably going to be very limited, primarily to conference reports. So that really is related to any laws that were already sort of drafted. But anything can be added to a conference report. So I think that even though they're saying that there's not going to be a lot of activity from a policy standpoint, we'll still need to pay close attention to what's going on because things can get added. But at some point, when they can establish direction on the tax policy, they'll start working on the budget, and then the appropriations committees will start to meet again, and that's when we really need to pay attention and advocate again for what we've requested. And so that's really the message with that. There's some other things. The downzoning provisions is something we talked about. You know, when that was adopted last year, a lot of the local governments and league municipalities and other organizations were very upset about that. There was a lot of opposition, and there were a lot of promises made about correcting the downzoning provisions. And a lot of bills were drafted, but yet never adopted. and that still hasn't occurred. And so I think one of the concerns is that people were told it's going to be fixed, people backed off, hasn't been fixed. Now what's happening? No, it's quiet. And so what we're being told is that it's probably not going to be fixed, at least at a minimum until the spring. But there's still no guarantee. And so that's something that I think may require some additional advocacy at some point. And so something we talked about and something that they're going to keep us posted on in terms of what's going to happen. So I think the primary message is we just need to stay tuned and stay vigilant and listen to our lobbyists, and then be ready to write a letter, write emails, get other people organized, or even go back to Raleigh at some point over the course of the fall when we know about things that are happening. So the September 22nd is the next date. They're going to meet for probably 3 or 4 days. I think October 16th is the following date, and then I don't know the November and December dates yet, but keep you posted on that.
Very good. Thanks, Andy. On the no down zoning and the reversal of that legislation, there's been some conversation with me and some of our fellow mayors about a broader. We were able to come together as the local mayors to write a common letter. I think there's going to be more of an effort statewide to get small communities our size, to weigh in together on an effort, but there's no point in doing that until the legislature is about to do something. I mean, a letter that you write today is going to be forgotten by the time they probably actually do any real business in the spring. So I think we're just going to sort of keep our powder dry on that and wait until it's a meaningful effort to try to tackle that. Thank you, Andy. But it's been. I want to thank the board for their wisdom in retaining a legislative liaison for us this year. It has proven to be valuable in a year like this. I can only imagine how valuable it would be in a year when the legislature was actually doing its job. Would be pretty wonderful. All right, Andy, next then, and perhaps David. Although David stepped out of the room, the beach nourishment planning.
Okay, I just want to go over this real quick. I know beach nourishment is going to come up on us faster than we realize, and things are starting to kick up here. We have permits applied for the project, and we expect a permit decision around September 20th. Beyond that, we're getting ready to advertise our next project for bid. The project is expected to be put out to bid on September 29th, with the bids due and opening on November 13th. Okay. And so we hope to have all permits in hand by December 1st. On December 3rd, we'll go over some of that information with the board. At that meeting, we'll be seating a new board. So it's kind of an interesting timing. There's a lot for people to get up to speed on. And so we want to be mindful of that. So on December 3rd, I don't think we're going to expect the board to make any decisions. Right. But I think one of the things we want to do, and this is what I really wanted to talk about, is on December 17th is our mid-month meeting. Mm-hmm. I think we will plan to have a workshop to talk through the cost of the project, give the public some information on the details of the project, and then talk a little bit about our ability to afford the project with our current resources. So that would include what the county would give to us towards the project, and also what our current taxes would generate to pay off the project. And we don't know any of this information yet. Until we get bids back, we don't know what the project's going to cost. So we can't really make an assessment of whether or not our current MSD and townwide taxes would be able to pay for it fully. So we expect to have our consultant, DEC associates here, Andrew and Doug Carter, at the mid-month meeting in December to kind of walk the board through our beach nourishment funding model and then talk about some tax implications. The good part about this is that we're being told that we don't have to finance the project or go through that process until sometime later. So we expect that on January 7th, we would be bringing to the board contract approval for the contractor to construct the project. And then we would also be approving an interlocal agreement with Dare County for the funding that they would give us, and then also a capital project ordinance. So that would set things in motion. And as the board is aware, we're bidding this out for a 2026 project or a 2027 project. With previous projects, there's been a pretty significant difference between the pricing on two consecutive years. Based on past experience, the longer you give contractors, the better pricing you'll get, but we still don't know what that's going to look like yet. So with the calendar we've prepared, and this is something we can advertise to the public, we've got a calendar that looks at, for a 2026 project, what we're going to have to do to finance the project and get everything approved. And then for a 2027 project, we get a little bit more time. You know, we don't have to do everything right away. If we do it in 2027, we'll be going through the financing in the spring of 27. If we do it in 26, obviously we'll have to go from the project approval right to the financing process. But in both years, I kind of show some board action items. So if the consultant tells us that we're not generating enough money currently to pay off this project, and we do have to consider taxing in our MSDs or even townwide, we're going to need to have a discussion about that. And we're looking at the timing that around the March 4th, the March time frame in both years, whether it's this year or 2026 or 2027. Now, one of the things that this calendar says is even if we decide to do a 2027 project, depending on the board's preference, we could talk about tax rates this year, meaning 2026, or we could also talk about them in 2027. Now, if we adopt new taxes in 2026, and I'm not saying this is required, I'm just saying if we have to do that, that would obviously bring down the overall amount we'd have to tax because you add another year to it. So it's just a food for thought for the board. So essentially, through the beginning of the calendar year 2026, we'd be looking at signing a contract for a contractor to construct the next project, and then moving into financing either in the spring of 26 or the spring of 27. So I just wanted to point all this out to the board in case you have any questions, just to make the public aware of what's going to happen, and then look forward to comments.
So regardless of whether it's a 2026 project or 27, in January, we would approve we would award the bid, do those other actions that you've listed there in January, the interlocal agreement with the county. We would do all of those things that really to lock the contractor in to that pricing, even if it's 2027, and then push it off and then take those actions in spring of 27, the findings and those.
Right.
To move the project, okay.
Yeah, we were told that as long as we approve the interlocal agreement with the county and do a capital project ordinance, then we can approve the construction contract at that time,
Okay.
and then deal with the financing following that.
Okay.
And so that's what we would do. So,
Right. Okay.
you know, I think we're in a pretty good position for the next project. You know, obviously the cost is the cost, and we're hoping that it comes in good. But, you know, we have been doing this for a while. I think we've kind of got a rhythm in terms of how we're doing things. And then we do have a beach nourishment capital reserve fund, and we have a fund balance in that will help us pay for this next project. And so that'll all be part of the discussion in December when we go over that with you.
Okay. Good. Any questions for Ian? Okay, then we are probably close enough. It's 10:25. We need to move across the site here for our groundbreaking. So I think I don't know that I need a, John, do I need a motion to recess to the groundbreaking?
No, well, I guess maybe to leave the council chambers in order to go to that.
Okay, then a motion to take a break in the meeting and go to the groundbreaking and then return for the balance of our business.
So moved.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. We'll be back shortly. All right, so the board has returned, and we decided, thank you everyone who came and participated in our groundbreaking for our new wellness facility. We decided rather than shout over the traffic and the wind, we would come back inside for our comments, and so I'm glad everybody returned. I want to thank you for being here today. We're here to celebrate the groundbreaking of our new wellness facility and employee housing building, which is phase 1 of the Town Hall Campus Master Plan that the board completed last year. As you know, Nags Head has had an employee wellness center for many years. 2 years ago, we closed the original building due to ongoing mold and moisture issues. That concrete block building on the town campus where the new one will go was a poor candidate for rehabilitation. In the interim, the center was housed in the former bank building across 158 from Town Hall. In recent years, we have enhanced our efforts to recruit and retain qualified staff. We have an employee total reward strategy, along with the basics like good insurance and retirement. The Wellness Center is an important component of this. Good health and reduced injuries reduce lost productivity and make for a happier and more productive workforce. We have about 120 employees. Roughly half of these employees are public safety. We also have 50 ocean rescue staff in peak season, and we know that this is something our staff really cherishes, and we did not want to see it go away. We're making a commitment to our employees today to provide them with the best facilities, which are an important part of their training and fitness regimes, but also something that will enhance their overall quality of life and work experience here at the town of Nags Head. Around the same time that we realized the old building had to be replaced, the town was pursuing options to construct housing for ocean rescue staff. This has been a long-standing strategic plan initiative. We are nearing completion of a duplex that we will use for ocean rescue housing on the site of the community care clinic, and we expect this to house up to 16 staff. We're now pursuing a second project along with this fitness and wellness facility to house about that many more staff. With these two projects, we will meet several board goals, providing housing for about 2/3 of our seasonal staff and replacing the wellness center. The fitness center and the staff housing have been part of our public budget discussions for about 2 years, and this combined wellness center is in the budget. We've received bids that are surprisingly well within our budget, and we are finalizing financing of the facility and expect construction to begin in September. Combining the facilities is much cheaper than building them separately. So I want to thank the staff, the Board of Commissioners, all of you who are so dedicated to the town and to have done so well for our employees. And our staff who are building a culture of which this facility will be a part. And Andy, I know that you want to thank some of our staff here in particular.
Yes, thanks, Mayor. So, like anything we do, you know, we try to pull in our experts to come up with designs for things. Folks that use our facility and know it much better than I do and know our needs. And so we had a group of individuals from all of our departments help us with this design. We had a committee and had a couple of meetings with Oakley Collier and with David Ryan sort of leading the effort. But I just wanted to thank all of them for their effort and for their knowledge and expertise. And I know that they are going to use this facility. They're going to generate interest amongst all of their peers to use the facility. I hope it is everything they hoped for. Some of them are here today, so I just wanted to mention their names. So we have Skyla Lamberto Egan with Fire. Appreciate your help with the design. We have Trace Simmons with Fire and Brandon Stallings with Fire. Thank you. Vicki Wright with Administrative Services is here. Christian Aguirre is here. I see him in the back row there. We have Seth Gray with the Water Department. Obviously, David Ryan, Perry Hale, and Shane Height were all involved with this. And then not here today, Ben Jadoff helped us with the design, as well as Chad Motes, and then Jan was part of this group as well. So we just thank all of their effort, And again, I'm sure they'll be here to witness the construction, and, you know, when we're finishing off this facility, maybe we'll pull them in and just make sure that we address the things we need. We did budget some funds for additional equipment too, and so they're going to be heavily involved in procuring all of that and making sure it's what they intended to be in there. So with that said, thanks to the staff, thanks to the Board of Commissioners for supporting this effort. I never dreamed that we would be building something like this to replace that old wellness building. So it is really something that is exceptional, and we really appreciate it. And then I think David's going to come up and talk a little bit about the consultants that are helping us.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, we just wanted to go ahead and recognize the design team. You're going to hear some very familiar names. We have Oakley Collier Architects, which is represented here today by Frank B. Joyner, who's their construction administrator. And the rest of the design team, which included Tim Oakley, David Griffin, Amanda Ryder, and then also their consultants. They were assisted by Scalene Design, who provided structural support, as well as Atlantec Engineers, who is now IMEG. They provided plumbing, mechanical, and electrical engineering assistance for the project. And we also wanted to recognize A.R. Chesson. They are represented here today by Al Chesson, who is the president of A.R. Chesson, and then also their site superintendent, Chandler Klontz, who's going to be heavily involved in this project. Again, we are looking forward to another successful project. We were just wrapping up with our public services complex, both of which A.R. Chesson and Oakley Collier were heavily involved in. And we're going to go ahead and run it back again with the Wellness Center. So we're really looking forward to another successful project. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, David, for all of your work that you also put into that. I know in bidding and coordinating all of that. Appreciate your work. Appreciate the team who contributed to the design. Thank you all very much for putting in that extra effort. Thank you to the design and construction professionals. We echo that as well, and we're very proud of public services and look forward to opening this new facility soon.
Yes,
thank you all very much. All right, Andy, that brings us to an update on Our State, Our Homes.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I'll just be brief with this. Obviously, Nags Head is participating in the Dare County Housing Task Force that consists of individuals from all the towns and several private entities around the county. One of the aspects that we're participating in with this is the Our State, Our Homes program. It's a program that's put on by UNC Chapel Hill, something that Dare County was selected for, one out of 14 communities across the state, where we go for 5 separate forums at UNC Chapel Hill to talk about housing issues and solutions for housing issues for our communities. So we have another one of those forums, our third one, starting today. My counterparts are already out there, Malcolm, Donna Creef, and Matt Neal with Southern Shores. I'm leaving after this meeting, but it's been a useful program. One of the things I wanted to highlight is recently we had a webinar on community land trusts. And so I think one of the main initiatives coming out of the Housing Task Force, and Mike Sears is on the Housing Task Force. He's not only on the task force, but he serves on a subcommittee on planning projects. So chime in anytime you feel like it. One of the things that Donna, who's essentially the leader of the task force, is working on is creating a nonprofit. And we are receiving a stipend from the Our State, Our Homes program that was designed to pay the project manager for their time. That project manager is Donna. Donna has now requested to not receive that money, but to use the money towards hiring an attorney to help create this nonprofit. They've hired someone out of Chapel Hill to do that. They're currently working on the articles of incorporation and the bylaws. And once that's done, they will actually be creating a board, and that's probably something that the Housing Task Force will have a role in creating, but I expect that Nags Head will have a seat on that board. And one of the primary mechanisms this nonprofit will use to develop housing is the community land trust model. And I can circulate the presentation that we were given on community land trusts. We had 4 communities in North Carolina present to us on the things that they're doing. There's a lot of these throughout the state and throughout the country. One was the Burlington Community Land Trust. We had the Raleigh Area Land Trust, Watauga Community Housing Trust in Western North Carolina, and then Durham. I think Durham was one of the oldest in the state. But essentially, the community land trust model allows groups to develop housing and keep the costs down by essentially getting land that's either donated or procured, and then they use a ground lease with the tenants. Essentially, you can buy a home that's developed by a land trust and own it. You pay a ground lease as part of your ownership, and the mortgage or the appreciation, the equity is capped every year through a deed restriction. And so essentially, that's what allows the housing to stay affordable. And then the properties are managed and maintained by the land trust, which in this case for Dare County would be likely managed through the nonprofit, correct. So you'll hear more about this over the next month. The Dare County Housing Task Force is meeting in a few weeks. I think they're going to talk quite a bit about this. And then I think the County Board of Commissioners may bring this up as well later on. And then finally, we'll be asked at some point for certain things, and you'll hear about that in the next month or two. So anyway, just wanted to make sure that the board was aware of this activity, the creation of the nonprofit, and then also this community land trust activity. And then maybe Commissioner Sears, I don't know if you want to say anything about the subcommittee.
Well, on the subcommittee, we've identified county property. That's the reason for the land trust, and that will what allow this to be affordable. The other mission to that is we want to build sustainable, you've heard it before, workforce out here. So you can't do that in transient or rental property, but you can do that if everybody owns the property. So if we can make that where it's tied to ownership, will work here, they'll be generational, and that's kind of the mindset that everybody on the planning side of this is taking. If we can show home ownership, then they'll be more invested in the community.
Cool. That's great. Very good. Well, thanks, and appreciate your effort, getting in the car and jumping, running to another meeting. Appreciate Commissioner Sears, y'all's additional work outside of this board on this effort. Thank you.
Sure.
That brings us to the Board of Commissioners agenda. Does any board member have an item that they would like to bring to us today? Seeing none, we will move the mayor's agenda. I do not have anything new to bring to you today. We do not have any closed sessions planned. So is there other business to come before the board? And we do not need a mid-month meeting, and so a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? I assume there's nobody opposed.